On first impression, this looks like a clean, modern bathroom that's ready to be used, but it's actually lacking on a lot of details. So we're going to focus on some of the detail work that people often miss. We're going to work on this as though we were preparing for a sale clean or an end of tenancy clean. So if we actually take a closer look, you can see some of the issues. So mainly limescale are in a hard water area, and if you look under the taps there, you can see there's quite a bad build up. So these are the details that need to be rectified before it's ready to hand over. So first of all, we get our gloves on. So PPE is obviously important. You may also need to use goggles and a mask depending on what you're using, and also if you want to be extra safe, that's always a good idea. So we're going to get started by wetting the area, and we use one of these Unger razor scrapers, which are originally designed for window cleaners to use to get stubborn marks off panes of glass, but we use them to remove excess dirt and build up. So it is a slide out razor blade, so obviously you have to be super careful with it, keep your fingers behind the blade, but also it's only really advisable to use this once you've had a bit of practice, because you can accidentally damage the surface of the sink itself or whatever it is that you're working on. So you do have to be careful to use it at a shallow angle, and just to be careful not to dig into the surface underneath. But it's a great way to get rid of the main build up before you start trying to tackle leftover limescale or build up of dirt, because you need that mechanical cleaning process to start with to remove most of the surplus before you then use your chemicals to remove the leftover parts to make it finish with a good shine and be totally clean. So we just start by working really gently at a shallow angle, scraping off the excess limescale, and if you zoom in there you can see we've already cleared a section around the edge of the plug hole. So it's really important you don't catch the edge of your blade. It's really important you use a new blade and one that hasn't got any nicks or damage in it, because the burrs on the blade will then dig in and scratch your sink. So if you're in any doubt, just put a new blade in your scraper. And we just work our way around really carefully. Have to take your time a bit, otherwise you're going to damage the sink. And just scrape off as much as possible. So don't worry about getting every last bit off, because that's going to be the job of our limescale removing chemical, and we'll do that at the end. But it's just to get the bulk of it off. So this is a mechanical part of the cleaning process. Okay, so we've scraped off all of the build-up that we can and removed as much as possible. So now it's time for a bit of chemical assistance to finish the job off. So we use a product called Scale It, which is obviously, as the name suggests, for tackling limescale. You can use similar products off the shelf. Viacal is one that's available in the supermarket. Anything that's designed to tackle limescale, but we think this one's particularly good. So we'll apply some of the neat Scale It in this case, because we want to tackle it quickly and we've got a bit of a build up. So just apply that to the area, and then we'll give it a bit of time to dwell, and then we'll start to scrub it with either a green scourer or some wire wool we can use, but we have to be a bit careful. This is obviously a bit more abrasive, so just have to be sure that it's appropriate for the surface you're working on, so you're not going to damage it. Also with your product, you've got to make sure you don't leave the dwell time for too long, because you can actually mark metal surfaces, so have to be careful to keep an eye on it. If in doubt, just rinse it off, but you can already see that's reacting there with the scale and bubbling away, so we'll give that a bit more dwell time before we start to tackle it. Great, so we've all finished now, so all we've done is use a toothbrush, good old-fashioned toothbrush, to get in some harder to reach spots. So under the spout, in the holes where the water comes out, around the chain on the plug, the underside of the plug, in the overflow, and in the bottom of the sink waste to get to the harder to reach parts. So with the Scale It product, to get rid of the leftover bits of scale, and then give everywhere a really good rinse to make sure all the product's washed away so it can't be left to dwell on the metal. And then I like to use an old towel that's out of service. It's super absorbent, and it's just a great way to pick up the excess moisture and buff it so you get a really nice glossy finish. So if you want to have a closer look there, you can see that that is the finished article.